what was it like for you being on set with him and that kind of interaction?
He's like one giant high school kid.
Man, I was so stoked on Thanksgiving. I was so excited. I've been looking forward to this movie and saw it opening day. Me and my 16-year-old, we went and we watched it and just absolutely loved it. So much fun. It is everything that I was wanting, everything that I was hoping it would be. But I want to ask you, what was the journey like for you getting the role of Scuba and joining the project?
So, like, I auditioned for this probably a month, for like a whole. So the auditions I think came early January. So like it was like a whole month before I heard anything back. So usually how it goes, like most actors, they get the audition and I feel like maybe like within the first 2 weeks they have to like let it go if they don't hear nothing. So I'm getting to like my third week. I'm like, all right, I did this audition and I'm not getting it. Like I need to let this go. It's been 3 weeks, Gabe. Like let this go. And then the third week that I was like, I'm letting it go. I'm doing my process, letting it all go. Because it's like a big role. You really want it, right? Like my agent emails me. He's like, hey, it looks like you're still in the running for this role. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, come on. Like I'm letting this go. And now it's back in my vicinity. Now I'm back hopes again. Okay. Nothing. Next week, nothing. End of the week, I get a phone call from an agent. I'm like, bro, this must be it. This has to be it. He calls me. He's like, hey, just want to let you know you booked the role. I was like, and I thought I would be so much more ecstatic, like, oh my gosh, through the moon. But I guess because of like, for all this trauma of going up and down, I was just there like, hey, all right, let's do this.
That relief, that wave of relief.
That relief.
Just let it go.
Okay, I got it. Let's go. All right.
That's awesome, man. I want to ask you about working with Eli as a director. I mean, I have had the pleasure of speaking to him twice, and he is just the coolest guy. But what was it like for you being on set with him and that kind of interaction?
He's like one giant high school kid. Like he's so fun to be around and to hang out with, and just like he just has fun on set. Like he doesn't make it, even though he's like a very serious guy when he needs to be, he doesn't make everything so serious, which is crazy because like you're in this environment where everything needs to be like,
yeah.
But he's there like having fun, busting jokes, talking about stupid things, and we're all just kind of vibing. So like in the very beginning, first day we met him, it's like we were a family, like just off the jump. He was just telling us all these stories, how he started this all stuff, talking about all these other people he used to work with and met. So it was super dope working with him.
That's cool, man. Who would you say, I guess maybe outside of Eli, who would you say is maybe like the biggest cut up on set? Like who broke most, who kind of like goofed off the most?
I guess, yeah, other than Eli. It was probably me and Tommaso, I want to say.
Sure.
I think it would be me and Tommaso and Jeff.
All right, right on.
No, definitely. I think it was us three that would probably break the most. And like equally, I feel like.
Yeah. You get that chemistry and that just kind of togetherness, and you're just having fun and you're with friends. And
because like me and Tommaso's character, we're like the jocks. We're like the asshole kind of jock kids, like even though we're kind of likable. So like we really embodied that. So like even while we're on set, we're being our characters. So
that's pretty cool. Did you see like the John Carver costume, the mask and all that prior to filming, or did you see that for the first time like while on set?
I seen it for the first time on set because when we did our screen test, I don't think they showed us then.
Okay.
I think it was something different. So I seen it for the first time on set. And I was like, oh, this is weird. And then when they did the melting thing, I was like, oh, this is even creepier. So I was like, oof.
Is it as intense in person as it is like just watching it on the screen?
Yeah. From my perspective, because like these are all my friends, these are all my people I love now, and I'm like seeing all the stuff that's going down, and I'm like, oh, like so it does feel like, I guess like if your mom was to watch you on screen die, like that's kind of how it feels because it's so close to home that it might traumatize you a little bit. So yeah, it definitely was intense. It was definitely way more intense while shooting it but it was like you could still feel bits and pieces of that, like the memories and stuff like that.
Though, like, obviously we don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen the movie, but some of those scenes where, you know, you are unable to escape from a certain situation with Carver, would you say that, like, those moments where everyone's there and it's that very, very, very tense sort of scene at the table and all that, was that maybe some of the more like frightening moments of the movie to film?
100,000%,
Yeah.
because we had to embody actual fear in those moments, right? Like you want it to come off the screen like it's really happening. So we had to put ourselves in that mind that it's really going down. This is really happening. So we were genuinely terrified, even though there's all these cameras everywhere. It's like this weird like as an actor, I feel like you get to this weird moment where the world kind of merges, and then it's like you're actually in this world. Even though you see the cameras, they're like it's like they don't exist anymore, and you're there. So and feeding off the energy of the other actors, you're giving that like terrifying energy, because the mind is very powerful. Like, we can really do a lot of things. So when you get together in a room with the same mind type of people and they really put it all together, like you really feel this. So we were terrified. We were in it. It was intense, especially certain scenes. Like if you see my character, like we were in it. We were in it. And I remember, like, for a certain scene, no spoilers, I felt like I've known this character my whole life. And then I felt like I've known the real version, like the real person of this character my whole life.
Yeah.
And it intensified it even more.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I
dig the background, by the way. I like the movie poster.
Thanks, man. I get complimented on these quite often. I always make sure to credit my wife. She bought me these. These were a gift from her. My Tarantino posters. I got a couple more I want to get. I need to get Django, and I need to get Inglourious Bastards. But
yes,
the Hateful Eight one is probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite. But yeah. Yeah, and all my movies and all this junk I've just piled up here. But hey, you know what that actually brings me? So let me ask you this. Did you watch any specific horror movies? Were there any certain horror movie scenes or anything in particular that you maybe rewatched or went back to, revisited, in order to prepare for the role, prepare for this movie?
So I'm a big chicken.
Okay.
I'm actually terrified of it. I don't like horror. Like I grew up in that like Christian home, like a child of God type. So we didn't watch much horror movies, and the ones that I did watch, like the Paranormal Activity and all that stuff, it was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm messing around with this. Yeah. So I kind of went in there completely raw. Okay. So I was a blank slate.
That's maybe better.
I think so, because you don't have any preconceived notions, of like how you feel. Like, for example, the classic, as soon as someone dies, you're like, you freak out.
Yeah.
If you notice in certain scenes, my character in one scene doesn't know what to do. And it feel like, to me, when that was the most, like, it was improvised. I wasn't thinking of doing anything in that scene. I genuinely, like, me and the character did not know what to do in this moment. And I feel like that's so much more real than everybody's screaming all over the place because something happened. Because I feel like in those moments, you're a high school kid. You don't know what you're doing. You're terrified. You have no idea what to do about this situation. You didn't think it was going to end up like this because you think you're a badass. So I kind of played it. So I feel like if I watched all these horror movies, it probably wouldn't have went that way.
That makes sense.
But then again, I am a chicken, so.
You know what? It's funny. So I'm a big horror movie fan, love horror movies, but I also grew up in a very evangelical household. And so I discovered horror movies sort of secretly. It was kind of like it was a taboo. It was like, watch that, you know what I mean? Like, and so, so I guess I went the other direction. My pendulum swung the opposite way, right? So I wasn't supposed to watch them, but I did. And I was just like, because I'd already, all the stuff it was, everything else was like, the whole world was scary. This was all fake. Does that make sense? That's kind of how it was for me. Like,
this stuff takes you out of the real world. You know? And I think it's good for it because, like, it's fake. It's not real, but it gives you that thrill versus the real world. Like, it's becoming like these movies. And you're like, oh my God, this is actually like happening. This is bad. So it takes you out of it. That's why this movie's like that fun movie that you could watch and not take it too seriously and enjoy it.
Yep. I absolutely 100% agree with you. That is exactly how I felt watching it. It was so much fun. It's just it's funny, it's brutal, it's exciting. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do want to ask. I've talked to other friends who've seen the movie, and we've had conversations about certain scenes and things like that. Again, not going to do any spoilers, but I am curious if you have any thoughts regarding a follow-up, a sequel, a continuation. Do you think there is room for there to be another Thanksgiving movie?
I 100% think there's room.
Okay.
For another one. Okay. I would love for there to be another one. I think it leaves off in a way where you could see that there could be another one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope, wink, wink, like that, the box office does pretty well. And someone's like, hey, I think that the fans want another one too. So I think that realistically, there's definitely a high chance that there could be one.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, it gives me those sort of 90s slasher vibes, but like a 90s slasher paying homage to a 70s slasher. And
yeah,
so you want that, you want Scream 2. You want I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. You know what I mean? Like you want those stories to continue, and there are characters still around that you can learn more about, that you can see grow.
100%. Going if they do a part 2, you can now even dig deeper into the backstory of these characters, dig deeper into what they were going through at those moments. You could dig deeper into other new characters that come in. There's so much you could do, and so there definitely should be a part 2.
Love it. That's the headline right there. There should be a part 2. Gabriel, you are the coolest. I really appreciate it. Thanksgiving is in theaters now. People can go see it. It's still there. It's still playing. Run to the theater.
Come on, guys, go this weekend. Let's blow it up.
Let's do it. Let's get more. Let's 50% increase. Let's do it.
Anything is possible, man.
You can see Hunger Games another time. Hunger Games will be there.
Yeah, man. Go watch all those movies later.
This is an
original horror film that has original cast. You don't know none of them. There's nothing I guess appealing in the sense where there's Hunger Games, there's Trolls, there's Napoleon's, all the other shows that have big people in it, big stories already. They already have their stuff. This is an original that no one knows about, no one's really heard about. Don't you want to see something new? That's what everybody wants. I feel like that's what people want to see.
And hey, and if it's big enough, maybe we'll get Justin Timberlake in the sequel.
Hey, JT.
Hey, man.
Hey,
me too.
We're trying to get Duke Deuce in number 2 as well. So hey, get some artists.
Gabriel, you're the coolest, man. Thank you so much for taking time to chat today. I appreciate it.
Dope, bro. I appreciate this so much, man.